Viking culture comes from artifacts found in burial sites, and it's these clues which help our investigators complete their picture of the Viking world. Next, Helena finds out that there was more to Viking society than raiding and pillaging. Jonathan seeks out the largest Viking graveyard ever discovered. He's going to learn about the warrior's way of death. Our investigators have been to Lindisfarne, where the reputation of the Vikings as bloodthirsty killers was born. They've seen plunder taken from some of Europe's great Christian shrines. Now, Jonathan Foyle is in the far north of Denmark, unlocking the secrets of an astonishing Viking burial ground. He's come to the site of Lindemhoya. In the late 19th century, archaeologists dug down through 14 feet of sand to find graves that were extraordinarily well preserved. Local expert Lars Christian Norback is his guide.
So Lars, it's an impressive site, isn't it? You feel it's on top of a hill. It's the kind of place you'd want to be buried.
The people here, they are from a normal village. It survived because of sand dunes. We have had up to 4 meters of sand dunes here. So
double my height in sand?
Yes, on top of it.
What Jonathan finds most intriguing about the whole site is the strange pattern in which the stones are laid out. Circles, triangles, even ship shapes.
These rocks look like they're a jumble when you first see them. It's like Stonehenge's family.
Yeah.
But they're ordered, aren't they?
The triangle is male. The round shapes are female. The ships are also males. And of course we know that from the artifacts which they had with them in the graves. Yeah.
Now the ship-shaped one,
this
shape here is pretty big, isn't it? If I were buried in here, I mean, I'm taking up not much space.
No, you were cremated and taking less space than you do now.
A classic Viking funeral pyre was a 4-posted timber platform with the corpse laid on top. Beneath it, brushwood and smaller timbers were sealed with planks. The structure was designed to burn with an intense heat. After the cremation, the charred remains of the corpse and offerings to the gods were buried within the stones that surrounded the burial plot. Back in Stockholm, Helena examined some of the offerings that have been found in the Viking graves. One among them is truly unexpected.
What else have we got here?
Well, we have some brooches, and then we have the Buddha.
Buddha? I wasn't expecting to see a Buddha in Sweden. What on earth is that?
No, it's a very, very rare find. It's produced in northern India, probably. Must have been traded.
Viking graves have been found to include items from lands as far apart as North America and northern India. And since there's no historical evidence that the Vikings raided either, the belief is that these objects reached Scandinavia by trade. It appears that the Viking trade network crossed the globe. And it suggests that they were far more sophisticated than many supposed. To find out more, Helena Hammerøe is traveling to the island of Bjorkø, once home to the Viking town of Birka. 1,200 years ago, it was a bustling port on the Baltic coast. Helena joins Bjorn Ambrosiani, director of the Birka project and one of the world's foremost Viking experts. This area has a wet climate. The wooden structures of the town that stood here have long since rotted away. But once, they covered an area equal to 30 football fields. Using what archaeological evidence remains, Bjorn has rebuilt one of them.
So this is the store area or workshop area, and inside here you have the living space with the fireplace on the floor, and then the benches where people slept and worked and lived for months each year during the winter.
How many people would have lived in a house like this?
6 to 8 individuals.
Although modest in appearance, these houses were lined in woolen fleeces, furs, and cloth. It enabled their occupants to withstand temperatures that often dropped below freezing. Artifacts found at Birka also show another forgotten side of the Viking people, their skill as craftsmen.
What kind of evidence do you have for the bronze casting, for the smithing? What kind of stuff do you have?
We had about 25,000 such pieces.
Okay, so I can see here we've got a piece of hard-fired clay with some designs. So this would have been used then to make just a nice bronze brooch or a pair of brooches that a woman would have worn in fairly everyday clothing.
The sheer number of bronze molds and artifacts found at Burka suggests precious jewelry was not only being made and worn locally, but it was also being traded. Trade routes from Burka passed east to Russia and throughout Europe. They went to the Middle East and further to India and China. Burka was an international hub. The level of success enjoyed by the people of Burka brought its own problems. Clearly, they needed to defend themselves.
It looks like we've got some pretty big earthworks here with a gap in the middle. What is this that we're looking at?
Oh, it's a town rampart, and this is one of the gates, and on top of it, it has been a wooden palisade. There are traces of that, so that is a part of the defenses of the town.
It enclosed an area in excess of 110 acres, and its very existence points to the major misconception that we have about the Viking culture today. Because Burka's walls were built to keep out the people that its inhabitants called Vikings.
Burka was pretty heavily defended.
Oh, yeah.
But why would Vikings need to be defended against other Vikings?
This is not a Viking town, it's a Viking Age town. Vikings are sea pirates going out and making plunder on Viking.
The name Viking has long been given to a whole civilization, but in fact, the name only really applies to the actions of a few. To go Viking was to go raiding.
So we shouldn't really be talking about the settlers in Birka as Vikings, rather just traders and a fairly peaceful lot, and really it sounds like the Vikings are just this kind of military elite. It's almost a little bit like a mafia.
Quite right.
As Scandinavia's most important and wealthy trading center, Burka was heavily defended and remained safe and prosperous for 200 years. It saw off attack after attack. Its ultimate decline came slowly. The sea level fell and the harbor became unnavigable. The shipping that had made it a major trade center could no longer reach it. Burka was abandoned. Next, our investigators probed the secrets of a piece of engineering that helped define the Viking world. A vessel that provoked panic and hysteria as soon as it appeared on the horizon. This was the Longship. Our investigators are in Scandinavia in search of the lost world of the Vikings. They've been to the trading town at Burka and discovered that the real Vikings were gangs of mafia-like raiders. They made up only a small part of the Scandinavian population. The actions of a few defined how history would remember an entire population. Now, our investigators examine the technology that made the Viking Age